It's my great pleasure to now introduce Professor Bijoy Kumar. He is a eminent academician, researcher, and eminent scientist in field of nanoscience and electronics.
I think I'll do it myself. So let me first introduce to you people.
Okay.
So just to know that what kind of talk I should give. So I'm free to give any of these because I do research in electronics. Can you hear me? Huh? Do I need to put this? Hello. So I will go biology part the most, and then the physics part. Chemistry is everywhere. So anyone from electronics? No. Okay. So I'll reduce that part. Okay. Is 99.999% of absorption there. Then only you can say that nothing will come out from the flying device to the base station, so that your bomber or whatever your drone which is flying on top of your head, you just cannot understand. If something is reflecting back, there is a program I saw in our Indian Army center also. They have a system. They have done the computational thing that all parts of the aeroplane, or all, whether it is a small object or a large object, they can understand. They can also understand. Just a reflection is coming. There is no photography. Just a reflection from the antenna base station and going to the object. It is coming back. It is scanning the whole through, and it is not taking any picture. It is just getting the reflection from that object. But they can simulate it to tell you whether it is a drone, whether it is a bomber, or whether it is some type of. Then you can they can jam it also. So for this, what we have, the network analyzer, which can go from megahertz frequency to the gigahertz frequency, and you have a broadband antenna, and this is some kind of a system we develop, and we make the absorber and put it inside a anechoic chamber. This is called as. So the reflection from the outside, everywhere there are so many electromagnetic devices are there. Our mobile phone, many things, our watch, many things are giving some kind of energy and some kind of a electromagnetic radiation. So it has to be absorbed. Then you can have also the waveguide base. So we put the materials inside the flanges, and then we measure the absorption of that particular system. We can come down even to few hundred of microns also. Because if you have some 2-3 millimeter of thickness and you put it on top of any aeroplane or any drone system, it will not survive on top. It will just fall down. You have to have few hundred microns is allowed. Okay. So that thickness should be enough to absorb the electromagnetic wave which is sent from the base station to the object, and nothing will be reflected back. So what I was saying is we did some single layer, double layer, means you have one kind of, these are all kind of the material properties is important in this. The epsilon and the mu. The real part of epsilon, the imaginary part of epsilon, similarly the real part of mu and the imaginary part of mu. You have to play around in such a way that you will have a absorbing layer and you have a reflecting layer, transmitting layer. So if you have those kind of combination through two layering, means it is just not a single layer, it can be a two layer also. You will have a better absorption. It can go even down to, say, as I said, if you have a 20 dB is good enough. But our absorber are touching something like 50 dB also. If you can see here, it can go up to 50 dB also. But has to match. Your transmitting layer and the absorbing layer has to match out. This you are doing with the RGO. And the combination of the, okay, so this is what I was telling you, the absorption bandwidth here. The absorption bandwidth has to be as large as possible. So this one is something like, say it is 30 to 34 gigahertz, like 4 gigahertz or something. But this one has even more. If I say 10 gigahertz limit, the absorption, it is much more than this, around say 6 gigahertz or something. We can design, this is just a single layer for this. So you can have variety of structure by doing the absorbers. So the last topic is, I have plenty of time to tell, but I am not so good in biology. If you ask me a hardcore biology thing, I may not be answer. So you must be knowing much better. I will tell you only bioelectronics, how to involve electronics, how to involve physics into biology. So the first thing what we do is the early stage cancer detection. We know that there are 4 stages in cancer. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. And till date, without doing a invasive biopsy, you cannot understand. what is the stage, isn't it? If it is inside, if it is outside of the body, you can see the size of this, of course. But if it is inside, we tried to do cancer detection in the hippocampus. You must be knowing where is the hippocampus is. The biology people must be knowing, isn't it? This is inside the brain. So, if you can, the brain tumor or brain cancer is the most affected one, and there is no survival rate, as I can understand from the literature. If you can detect even the brain cancer inside the hippocampus, you can detect anywhere. Okay. So, to do this, you have to do a lot of manipulation. What is the manipulation? Those are making the nanoparticles, magnetic nanoparticles. It can be a magnetoluminescent nanoparticle which can emit energy or emit light through, if something is incidenting on that, it should emit, so that your what is that microscope called as? Photoluminescent. What is that microscope called as? It's not a physical microscope. What do you use? Fluorescent microscope. You can do the imaging of this also. You can see where your nanoparticles is moving around. You can also make core cell, a hollow inside the magnetic nanoparticles, so that you can put the drugs inside. If you can put the drugs inside and then coat the magnetic part to reduce the toxicity level, to bring it down the toxicity level to the allowed limit by FDA approved limit, so you can use it. So you have to first make it photoluminescent. There are many techniques, like you have MRI, you have PET-CT. Those are expensive. For common people, it is not so feasible. If you can do it through some other means, which is less expensive and also less non-invasive, that will be the best. Because people do not go to the hospital even to do the biopsy. I'm not going to the surgery part now. I'm just going to the biopsy part. People do not go for biopsy also. Say if you have a prostate cancer, they have to do the biopsy, and also they have to do all the kind of dissection of your prostate. About 16 parts, they don't cut it out, but put the needle and take some cells from there to understand which part of your prostate has some of the cancerous cells, or whether it is a cancer or it is just a growth, simple growth, a tumor. To do this, the people do not go because it is invasive. So if you can do something which can be non-invasive, which can be just like say for example like the MRI, PET-CT, ultrasound, all these things can be doable. Or you can take the blood. Through the blood, through the IV, you can put some magnetic nanoparticles, and then you can put the fluorescent, and magnetic nanoparticles will be tagged in such a way that the charge of your cancer cell is just equal in magnitude, opposite in sign. It can just travel towards the cancerous cells only, where it will get a conjugate there. Am I explaining in the right way or not? You have to do some kind of a zeta potential, and then if I go a little deeply, so if you do a zeta potential of your coating or the magnetic nanoparticle where you are through the IV you are sending, and also do the zeta potential of, but there are so many kind of, if you have some kind of a cancer, it is detected somehow, MRI or something, not the invasive method, but the non-invasive method. Then you can know that where is the cancer and where is the size of this. That's the first preliminary to see a benchmark. Then you can send the magnetic nanoparticles for that kind of, means a kind of bioconjugate. So the DNA or mRNA, you have to conjugate it somehow. If I'm saying in the right way or not, that you have to correct me at the end, but not now. Let me finish it first. then you can send that nanoparticle. I had a postdoc, and then I had some 2-3 biology students. Those are very highly placed. They are now in University of Miami, and also now they are doing the cancer. What is that called as? Not therapy, cancer vaccine. They are working on cancer vaccine. Those are the 2 guys there. Then you can do the bioimaging part. Similarly, what we do is we can do the cancer therapy platform. This is not invasive, this is non-invasive. Send the nanoparticles for both the purpose. Detection, what is the size, what is the stage, where it is, everything you can learn it, and then you can do the hypothermia. What is hypothermia? These are some kind of a electromagnetic radiation to the nanoparticles where the cancerous tissues are grown. Let me go ahead, then you can. So these are few of the kind of biomedical applications of the magnetic nanoparticles. We do not do everything. We just do the cancer therapy through the magnetic hypothermia therapy, and also do some part of biosensing through cancer diagnosis. Now, it's just a picture. The human body, if you inject some magnetic nanoparticles here, if it is on the outer part of this, then it is easy, and then you can inject it there itself. If it is the inner part, then you have to do some kind of a conjugate and then send it through the IV. The magnetic nanoparticles should be coated also. If you want to do a targeted chemo also, you can do that by putting the medicine which can be done, which can decrease your cell sizes when it will explode. Exploding, how you will do? You can explode the magnetic nanoparticle when you are putting the energy from outside. The same nanoparticle can be used for detection. This is here. This I showed for a MRI, but we do something else. It is from the internet only. And then you can do the hypothermia for the therapy. It is just 2 coils from the outside. You can heat the magnetic nanoparticles, and thereby you can heat the cancerous cells which are just adjacent to the magnetic nanoparticles, so that they are going to be ablated. Okay, ablated means the burn. So these are variety of biosensors are there. What we target is microwave resonator based biosensor and spintronic biosensor. These are the 2 things which we do in our lab. So this is a paper we published in microwave resonator sensor for lung cancer cells growth and detection. What we did is we designed a microwave circuit, not the pure microwave circuit. And this is here is a ring resonator. Okay. On top of this, we have some ring is here. So these are the copper lines through which the electromagnetic wave propagate. There is a ring here, and inside this ring we make a well here and put the cell lines, which is affected. If you have cell lines, say stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, you can do the experiment of this and see the changes in the resonant frequency here. The resonant frequency, how it is moving. That movement of the resonance frequency which give us the dielectric constant. The dielectric constant of that material. All material have dielectric constant which are different to each other. Even the cancer cells or cancer variety of cells have different kind of dielectric constant. And that dielectric constant is going to shift the peak position of the resonant frequency. Through here, by doing many calculations, one can understand what stage it is and how big it is and what kind of, if you have a conjugate for this. And what we do is we put the cancer cells, and then what we do is we take the cancer cell and do, in this work what we showed here is day 1 growth. We don't have the stages. So what we did is we have the day 1 growth, day 2 growth of the cell lines, day 3 growth of the cell lines. We mimic it towards the stages, because if you have cell lines and they are cancerous, they are going to grow. if they are going to grow, their dielectric constant is also going to change. That means the shifting is also going to change. Through the dielectric constant, through the shift of the resonance frequency, we can understand which stage it is. So day 1 corresponds to stage 1, day 2 corresponds to stage 2, and day 3 corresponds to stage 3. It is just a mimic. It is not, it's just a first experiment for this. You have to do many experiments to understand how you can correlate the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of the cancerous cells. So here what we did is, the permittivity in an intrinsic material property determined by its unique molecular structure. How much time I have? Around say 38 minutes. Okay. Material property is determined by its unique molecular structure and composition, which dictates how it constitutes the atoms and molecules respond to an external electromagnetic electric field. So external electromagnetic electric field is coming from the resonator, and when you change the material inside that well, this one here, then it is going to shift or it is going to change, because its dielectric properties are going to change. So that change in dielectric property are going to tell us the growth rate of this cancerous cells from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. So what we got is, these are the shift. If you see here, the day 1 experimental, day 1, day 2, day 3, if you can see here, it is shifting above, it is 2 gigahertz, it comes down to 2 gigahertz, a lot of shift in megahertz scale. It even comes down close to 1.5 gigahertz. So from this frequency shift, as well as the width of that peak and also the height of that peak, these are the 3 parameters we detect. One is the frequency, the peak of that frequency is a band pass filter which is giving rise to a pass band at that point, this one. So that resonant frequency, how it is shifting for day 1 to day 2 to day 3. How its line width, that is the 3 dB if we come down, or the half power we come down, what is the width of the peak position from that, and also the insertion loss. Insertion loss is from 0 to how much it is coming down. That means how much it is affecting the resonator circuit, and from these parameters we can find out the size or the kind of cancer. Say for example, we have the resonant frequency of the day 1 is 2.13, at day 2 is 1.92, day 3 is 1.63. So the overall dielectric constant, what is the overall dielectric constant? Because we designed this on a substrate that is called as FR4. Then we have a media also inside this. We cannot just put the cell lines in. We should have a media also. It also has some kind of a dielectric constant. So we have the FR4, which is the material where the resonator is designed, and then we have the media, it also has a dielectric constant. Then we have the cell lines. So we have to determine the cell lines dielectric constant, subtracting out the FR4, that is the designed substrate, as well as the media. So these are all same for all the 3 days, but the only thing which is changing is this one, the cell lines dielectric constant. So you can very clearly, you can change it out and find the dielectric constant epsilon effective for the combination first. Then we can remove the FR4. We have some formula for that. We will have just the media plus the cell. No FR4 means dielectric constant of the substrate is removed. And the final analysis we did for the epsilon effective of the cell lines. So from the total of this, we can find out from the day 1 it is 31.44, for day 2 it is 43.54, for day 3 it is 74.88. That means there is a appreciable change of dielectric constant which is disturbing the resonant frequency as well as the peak position as well as the width of that resonator. Through these parameters, because one has to have some kind of a electronic system through which one can detect it. So these are the day 1 to day 3 experimentation. So resonance frequency, what do we have? What do we have, and through which we can determine? As I said, the resonance frequency, the day 1, day 2, day 3. Similarly, full width half maxima. What is that? Full width half maximum is, if you have the top level here, just come down as full width and then determine the half maximum, maybe here. So say this one, the width of this. Similarly, the insertion loss, that's what I said. From the 0 dB, how much it is going down, and how much it is going down, and how much this is going down. You can see that this is above -9, around -8 or -7 dB. Here it is almost close to 9 dB, -9 dB. It is coming down to around 9 or 10 dB or so. So these are the 3 parameters which we have from the resonator, through which we have to determine all the parameters relating to biology or relating to cancer growth. What we can measure? We can measure the figure of merit. We can measure the quality factor by using these. We can measure the sensitivity.
interference and then. So if you have a magnetic nanobody, you must be worried about if it is put to the human body, where those nanoparticles are going. It has to go outside the body in one day, not immediately, but it has to be going outside the body somehow. So we did that study also. How it is going and how much days it is requiring to going outside the body of this system. Okay. So here is physics bit. It is specific absorption rate. And there is intrinsic mass power. So this one can detect from can tell how much therapy has done and what kind of therapy is required and what therapy is required or what kind of answer. So everything is there. Similarly, if you make a Course-cum kind of nanoparticle and put the kinds of medicine inside, when you make the electromagnetic energy transfer to the magnetic cells, it can explode also. If you make it in such a way, thinner wall, it can explode. So if it is exploding in combination with your ablation technique, you are giving also.
A luminescent nanocomposite system comprised of magnetic ferrite nanoparticles and Ln3+ based luminophorus with an excellent induction heating capacity. Induction heating capacity, as I said in the earlier slides, so these are the two things. We do not need to heat the magnetic nanoparticles with a higher energy. It can reduce the energy but increase the heat capacity, heat transfer. So this approach is unique to produce a magnetoluminescent nanocomposite with leakage proof and bright U3+ emission also. Emission with long lifetime profound induction heating efficiency. In vitro investigation of human cell lines of A549 cells reveals a high compatibility with the remarkable magnetoluminescence characteristic and to probe their cellular uptake via fluorescent microscopy. So we have detected also, we have done the hypothermia also to do the emission and magnetohypothermia. So these are the studies. So these are kind of a coating on top of the magnetic nanoparticles. The another one, what we have done is the enhancing magnetic hypothermia efficacy through targeted heat shock protein 90 inhibition and unveiling the immune-mediated therapy synergy in glioma treatment. So through this, the induction heat stress response mediated by the generation of heat shock proteins on exposure to magnetic hypothermia mediated cancer therapy decreases the efficacy of localized heat treatment at the tumor cell. This is the bad effect. How to get rid of this? To enhance the efficacy of the treatment, a combinational strategy is used, inhibitor of HSP19 following the magnetic hypothermia in combination was investigated. So our finding indicates that magnetic hypothermia activates host immune system and effectively cooperates with the HSP90 blockade to inhibit the growth of distant metastatic tumors. I'm not a boss of biology, so be careful when you are asking questions on this. So in this work, so this is the girl who did all these, starting from here. Ravindra is the recent PhD from me. Then Ravi has gone to University of Miami doing the cancer vaccines. Here, Anjali is the biologist. Ravi is also a biologist. Why my cursor is not working? Okay. So, Anjali is a biologist, a very good biologist. And she is the main worker of this, along with some people from INST Mohali. Then this one we did in our lab, and Swati was there with a postdoc now in University College London, and Anjali is in Miami, University of Miami, and Ravi is also there. So rapid tumor inhibition by magnetic hypothermia regulated by Caspers 3 with time-dependent clearance of iron oxide nanoparticles. So this is what is needed for us to understand that the magnetic nanoparticles should not be staying inside our body. So through this, we see all the parts, how many nanoparticles are there after the hypothermia and how much are going out through the urine or feces. Through this, one can understand that how much you have injected and how much has gone outside. Okay, so through this, you can get approval. Otherwise, you are not going to get FDA approval that you are putting the nanoparticle and they are staying inside the body, because these are not good things. These are kind of toxic elements. So through this, the whole of the protocol is like this: the tumor induction, the growth of the tumor, then we inject the magnetic nanoparticles and see the size of the tumor by sacrificing one of the mouse, because we have to take a large number of mouse. We see the size of the mouse, the size of the cancerous cells, and then we do the hypothermia. First session of hypothermia, it is not clear here, so we have to do the second session of hypothermia at the day 26. So this is the day 12, the day of growth of the tumor. Then we have done the nanoparticle induction at the 13th day. Here's the hypothermia, the first session of hypothermia at 16th day. Then on the 26th day, because the mouse has to come up from the sock. Then we have, it is not a heat shock, it is some kind of a mental shock. So this is the 26th day, the second hypothermia. And the 30th day, you can see the disappearance of all the cancer. So complete tumor regression. So this is what is done through a IR camera. How much the heating rate is going here, the 44 °C, which is good enough for the human cells to survive, but it's not good for the cancerous cells. If we hit it, you can see that after the second session, there is almost nil cancerous cells are there. So this is how one can establish this work, how your cancer is removed by a non-invasive technique. In this one, transmigration of magnetic nanoparticles across the blood-brain barrier. I think for the biologist, this is a very problematic thing. Blood-brain barrier, how to cross this. A rodent model, influence of external and alternating magnetic field. What we have done is, we have the hypothermia, there is an alternating magnetic field. We put a permanent magnet, this is a DC magnet, in combination to this. So, despite the advances in neurology, drug delivery to the central nervous system is considered a challenge due to the presence of blood-brain barrier. Dual magnetic targeting approach was employed by first dragging the magnetic nanoparticles by the DC magnet, the permanent magnet, by an electromagnetic field for an intended enhanced cellular association with the brain endothelial cells, and then activating the magnetic nanoparticles by a alternating magnetic field from the hypothermia system for temporary disruption of the tight junction of the blood-brain barrier. If you can temporarily clear that passage, there will be a flow of magnetic nanoparticles. The exposure of a alternating magnetic field transiently opened the tight junction at the blood-brain barrier, which after 3 hours of treatment were observed to recover back to the comparable control level. Okay. So in this work, what we have done is a robust in vitro anti-cancer activity via magnetic hypothermia mediated polar double stabilized major porocytic encapsulated by another kind of magnetic nanoparticle. It is lanthanum strontium manganese oxide core cell structure. This is. So this is one more localized cancer treatment by radiofrequency hypothermia using magnetic nanoparticles immobilized on graphene oxide from novel synthesis to in vitro studies. Then again the group of Ravi and Anjali. Here what we have done is the confocal studies, the image of the cellular uptake by the nanoparticle by the A519 cell lines and was timed and concentration dependent. Evidently, the degree of nanoparticle takes how much time? I have 5 minutes. Evidently, the nanoparticles was considered dependent on the study of this. So, as a control, there was no cellular uptake in the A and D bonds. To investigate the effect of incubation time of the nanoparticles, we added to the cellular cell incubate at 37 degrees. At 24 and 48 post incubation, the fluorescent signal from the nanoparticles are detected as the incubation time increased. So here is the another word, encapsulated lanthanum strong chain magnetic oxide mesoporous silica cells, potential for cancer treatment by hypothermia. So here it is conjugated this by some oleic acid, and then you have coated this, and then you do the mesoporous silica coated on top of LSMO nanoparticles for the hypothermia. Here in this work, what we have done is tailoring the design of a lanthanide complex magnetic ferrite nanocomposite for efficient photoluminescence and magnetic hypothermia performance. So this is the core cell structure. Okay. At the middle, you have the manganese ferrites, then you have the silica cell, then you have the eurobium complex, and the silica dioxide. All have their own kind of facility. So these are all about the hypothermia. I have the last topic to tell you the specific aim of this. Say, for example, we are doing hypothermia. We are doing any kind of therapy. To any one model is also important. Human is even more important. You are doing a therapy, you are doing everything. What is happening after the therapy? Is the human getting back his memory or loss? There is a memory loss if it is a hippocampus or a brain's treatment through the hypnotherapy. Is he getting back his memory? Or he is just not getting back even after hypnotherapy? He is surviving but without the memory. So this is what kind of treatment is this? This is not a valid treatment. It is not going to be approved by anyone. To know this thing, we did this study. First, what we have done is to study the effects of magnetic nanoparticles on the learning and memory following the magnetic hypothermia treatment. For this, we have a series of mouse. On top of this, before doing hypothermia or before developing even the cancer, we did a memory study. What is that memory study? We teach the mouse. How to teach the mouse? I think the biology people can understand, those who are doing the animal model study. You know how to teach them by giving some shock, little bit of shock. So these are the protocol of this. I'm not going inside this. So here is the training. You have a baseline of the mouse is there. Now for the training, you have a pulse. For a very short duration of pulse, 2 seconds, you will give a very small amount of current, DC current. So that you will feel that and jump it and then come down. And when it is coming down, we make the pulse rate in such a way that when we jump and come down, there will be no current. That we ensure it. So that he will get the shock, but when he will come down, he has to come down because there is a box and closed chamber. He has to come down. Then when he is coming down, there is no shock. But he is going to jump for a few days because he got the shock. After a few days, you will learn it. That it is going to be a very transient. It is just a very few seconds. If I jump once, it will go away. So this is the memory study, what it is. Talk to him. After teaching this animal several times, then we go to the treatment. So impairment in memory was observed for the 4th day and the 15th day recovery period following magnetic hypothermia treatment. We did the magnetic hypothermia treatment, and prior to doing the hypothermia or prior to doing the cancer development, we taught the mouse this kind of is going to happen to you. After 4, he is going to jump here and there or go abruptly. After 4th day and after 15th day, the recovery period following magnetic hypothermia. He will forget all this shock. He will behave as a normal. There will be no shock and he will not jump. That means he is getting back his memory. That shock is not there. But after the hypothermia, he is going to go abruptly everywhere. So memory impairment observed in nanoparticles treated group compared to the saline treated group, and we are injecting, but only the DI, not any magnetic nanoparticles, to one group. Another group we are injecting along with the saline group, just the DI, but nanoparticles also. Control at both the 4th and the 15th day. In comparison to nanoparticles treated group and the saline group, hypothermia treated group showed significantly enhanced memory impairment. So the memory impairment was significantly less at 15th day compared to 4th day recovery period following the magnetic hypothermia. This is what we observed this. Also never published is there in our books. So this is what I have. So these are my PhD students who have done, and a few of them are in Delhi University, Mr. Professor, and a few of them. So these are the biologists. These are the two biologists, where Anjali and then Ravi. They are in Miami who are doing with the cancer vaccine, and these are kind of people who are there in Maryland and Northeastern. They are doing spintronics. She is doing postdoc, also doing spintronics, and some are in colleges of the university. And still some people are there. These are my earlier group members who have worked with me. He is of the DST Inspire faculty, worked with me for around 4 years. Then he joined IIIT Delhi. Now he is a professor there. So I've gone back to University of London, and there are some more DST Inspires. So this is all about my group member through which I perform all studies. And these are my collaborators studying from Bloomberg at ULIS, then few of my co-workers there, and then few of my Indian co-workers and few of my co-workers which are there in US citizens. Thank you very much. If you want to go to the details of this, you can go through this one. I'll show you. These machines which are located in this area, they are available. The protection just over there, the client is dancing and the industry but the system is like not new. But he said, according to him, they both of UV is not that harmful, not at all harmful. And that system required to be. It's not designed for IR and very difficult. Anything else?